patient that came in for a heart attack, and there was only 3 of us on shift, a radiology tech, myself as a nurse, and then the doctor. And the radiology tech had been studying the past few nights different EKGs, and so while I was starting the blood work, she looked at the EKG because he came in for chest pain and noticed that he was having a heart attack. And it was because she went above and beyond that we were able to best take care of him and get him out within under 20 minutes to go to the cath lab. So the teamwork was amazing.
I have one patient with that was seen, just released from the hospital for a seizure. She had the workup, she had the spinal tap, she had the MRI, she had the CT scan, and you know, with that time that I spent with her, I said, well, let's just repeat the CT scan, which was just done just days before, because she had a headache and she was getting ready to go cross country in the ER setting. They would have said, no, you just had it done, we're not going to repeat it. At any rate, we did repeat it. She did have a large mass, significant mass there. Basically, we spent the time sitting down and talking with her about why she couldn't travel, why she shouldn't travel, and why she needed to see a neurosurgeon, even though she had seen a neurologist who advised her to wait three months and get rechecked. With the time that we get to spend with patients, we can educate them, and through that education, our treatment becomes a whole lot more effective. And that's the gratifying part of medicine, is to help people. And so when you can address their emotional concerns too, which a lot of us is left by the wayside when we work at these big trauma centers. But now we spend that time, we have that time to address those concerns as well. So it just makes it a much better situation for everyone.
Specifically, having that person, they have the drive, they have the attitude, they have the potential of doing everything on their own. They want to do more, they want to please, they want to make sure they're doing that job good, but lacking or having that insecurity, really can impact a person's confidence. She does the job, she did it, but she just lacked that confidence. And me, just being who I am, I'd constantly ask her, okay, what do we need to do? Let's fix this, let's help you here. And that just helped boost her confidence a lot. Every week, I'm like, you got this, you know what you're doing. I'm supporting you 100% of the way. I'm 10 minutes down the way, I'll come in, I'll stop in and say, hey, I'll be there in a second, just so I can have that hands-on, like, what do you need me to do? She just needed that support. She just needed that appraisal of encouragement, like, she's got this. Her getting that, every week has helped her stronger as time goes on. And so she's called less and less. And working after Laura, we're trying, like she always says, we're just, spawns of her, So she tries to teach us what she knows so we can be our own Laura. Laura has gone above and beyond, not just for me, but for all of us, not just the team leads, but for the whole entire department at every facility. So she's trying to get it to where we can be her, and I want that for my team.
About a year ago, I got in a car accident. For about a month, I was off of work. And my supervisors, it was Scott and then Jen, they pretty much kept in contact with me constantly, asking me how I'm doing, everything okay, if I need anything, things like that. You don't really find that anywhere at a big place, because I worked at a hospital and it was a way complete different experience from that. I think here, a place like this, it's awesome to work at because people do care about you. So when I come to work, you walk in happy, you care about your coworkers, and that transfers, to the patients. So you walk in, you're smiling, and when you get a patient to the back, you're still happy talking to them, and then that makes them smile, and they feel like you're giving them full attention, especially when the nurse walks in. Sometimes an x-ray tech walks in too, and so there's like 3 of us that are giving them attention. They're like, wow. So if we get a patient and I'm in the lab running a sample, Ryan will get up and he will triage the patient with the nurse to do blood pressures and all that. If I'm doing something else and labs need to be ran, the x-ray tech will go run them. So we kind of share responsibilities, as of to say other places, your x-ray, oh, that's not my line of work. Like, I get paid for this. Well, that's not my duty, that's not my job. Not here. We're all pretty much the same.
I was a previous patient of the family emergency room, and I've been with them for a few years now. And I started off as a patient and came in, and I was a weird person who called and asked for the emergency room pricing, and they told me the rates that we had for self-pay rates, and I was like, okay, and then I'll receive a bill, and they were like, nope, you know, that's it. And I was like, okay. And the nursing staff and the physician was awesome. And I had experienced a miscarriage, and I won't forget the nurse who had helped us out that night, because he was just kind of a similar situation. He was married, and him and his wife had gone through that and everything, and it just really meant a lot to me, and just things that he said and shared with us, and left. Obviously, nobody wants to go through that, but I won't ever forget how we were treated that day. And then came time to where I needed a job, and obviously one of my first choices, I was like, I wonder if I could get a job there. And every doctor that I've seen here just takes the time to like listen to the patients and to like really care about them and go above and beyond. And I'm just like, that's awesome. It makes me want to do more for the company. I mean, in registration, we're the face. We're the first thing people see when they come in, and the thing everybody worries about is price. When they come in, they know it's going to be expensive. They're in an emergency room, and to be able to put their minds at ease and to do all that we can to help them take that stress off of their visit here. But my favorite thing to tell them is we don't have family in our name for nothing.
We were at Cedar Park a couple of weeks back and had a STEMI walk in. Everybody thought it was just another patient until we did the guy's EKG and it was a STEMI, and so I got a little more authoritative, I guess you can call it, and I asked people to do things that were not in their normal role at our ER. One of the people questioned what I wanted them to do. I just asked them to do it, and I'll answer your questions later. Everybody that works at a place is able to do other things than their one role that they were hired for. We all trust each other. We all trust each other's judgment. So we can do other things as directed and still be able to get the job accomplished that we're supposed to be getting accomplished. And so it all went well. The guy got transferred out and got his cath lab done, and he's walking around the earth right now doing very good. But everybody responded very well to the stressful situation, I guess you could call it, and we all did well.
I was working a night shift, and I had the pleasure of working with our CEO, Dr. Higgins, and a young father came in with his young daughter, and she was having an asthma attack, and she needed emergency treatment, and she got it. Of course, she wasn't turned away. She wouldn't be turned away. But the father, the dad, the whole time, he's worried about how's he going to pay for this? He can't pay for this. He doesn't have insurance. He doesn't know what he's going to do, but he knows his daughter needs to be taken care of. When Dr. Higgins was telling them goodbye and they were about to leave, I was standing outside the room, and I did hear him tell the dad that if this happened again with his daughter and she was having trouble breathing, he wanted him to bring her back to that facility and she would be taken care of, and for the dad not to worry about that bill. He was going to ensure that she was going to be taken care of. And I realized that I'm working for a company owned by a person that truly cares about the people in the community and taking care of them. Yeah, so it's an example for all of us that we can be caring, truly caring. And it's okay to go above and beyond. There was a man that came to this facility not very long ago, and he was having chest pain. I think that he just wanted to be reassured that everything was okay, but that wasn't the case. Everything really wasn't okay with him, and he needed to be transferred to another hospital. He didn't want to go, and he was signing AMA. He was going to leave AMA and wanted the IV out and everything. And right after I took his IV out, he finally confessed to me that the reason that he didn't want to go get treatment was that he had a dog at home, and there was no one else there to take care of him. He didn't have anybody to call to take care of the dog, and the dog needed to be taken out and fed. And so the nurse I was working with and I bought dog food, went to his house, took the dog out, fed him, and she followed up the next morning. We had planned on taking turns taking care of the dog. It feels good to work in a place where it's okay to go above and beyond and truly take care of people, not just with medicine, but really with the caring, true heart. There's multiple instances of stories like that.
I had a kind of a tight schedule with childcare with my son, so I worked nights, and kind of last minute, a couple of days before, I needed some coverage on a weekend all the times, and was able to get someone to cover half my shifts, so that way I didn't have to run into any issues with taking care of him. And so it was just really nice to know that I didn't, have a guilt from it, or nobody really made me feel like bad that I had to, get some help there, and it inconvenienced anybody in any way, and it just, reminded me to help someone out the next time that they needed it. So it's really nice that we have the freedom and the flexibility in our schedules, and the willingness of everybody to move things around, and it's not so rigid. Everybody's kind of focus is just on the patient and not rather their title or what their job description is. So it's been really refreshing to know if I walked away from the front for a second, someone was willing to pick up the phone, or back there when I go back there, it's not just the nurse taking care of everybody. Everybody kind of just helps in any way that they've been trained and know how to. It's really nice to know that everybody just seems to be really helpful in every way.
When I was first approached to work here, what got me was how they are here to help the community, not just to make money. What I really like is in February we do heart scans to people that have certain risk factors, and we've helped several people. We found something that could have been catastrophic down the road, and we've helped them get to a cardiologist and help save their life, basically. For me, it's always about the patient, and it's always about making sure people are being helped, and that's what healthcare is about. Keeping everybody healthy, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like this is my family, and we're helping the community.
So my primary background is EMS. I worked a few years in 911, but most of my EMS experience is in transport service, which is what we deal with most of the time here. Whenever we have a patient that we need to transfer out to an inpatient type facility, then a transfer service will come and pick them up and take them to the hospital. Well, we've had several patients where the doctors would say, well, can they do this and this and this en route, asking me about it because that's my background. And absolutely, you just need to tell them what you need, what you want, and they'll send that type of service to come and pick them up. So I find it very reassuring that the doctors actually listen to what I say and don't just listen to it and shrug it off. I mean, not only am I helping the team at that point with my background, but I'm actually ultimately making things better for the patient, because it's nice that I help the team, but if I can make the patient or the outcome for the patient better, then everything works out better in the end.
Well, there was a patient that came and they needed a wheelchair. She was in the front doorway, drive area, like the emergency, the bay right there. Her daughter was helping her, but they looked like they were struggling. All the nurses were busy attending other patients. So I rushed over there on the other side of the counter, and I grabbed the wheelchair, rushed it over to the patient, and I sat her in it, and I rolled her all the way to the back to the nurse's station. I guess as my job, I know I'm not a nurse or anything, but I see it as my job to make everyone feel welcomed because I'm the face, the person that they see as they walk in. So I want to make them feel like they're at home, like their family, and just make them feel comfortable and that they're being cared for. In the winter, it was cold and there was a patient, I think it was her dad back there, and she was cold in the waiting room, so I brought her a warm blanket. Like, for instance, if there's kids here, I bring them stuffed animals, and they're in the waiting room waiting for their parents. I turn on the cartoons on the TV, or offer them snacks, water, because it's a long day. They're probably at school, and then they have to come here, with their parent or their brother and sister, just whoever, and just make them feel like they're welcomed and comfortable here, even if they're not the patient. I feel good, like that I can help people, even if it's the little things like that. I mean, just make them feel like they're okay, like everything's gonna be okay. They're in a good place where we're gonna take care of them.
The story that I just remembered was about a time when a woman came in that had some sudden onset of symptoms and was really anxious and worried about them. And in her case, we basically did her interview or physical exam and did a workup, of labs and EKG, that sort of thing. And when I was reviewing everything with her, I went back in to kind of give her results and talk to her some more and let her know that everything looked normal and like it would be okay. And I asked her some more questions, a little bit more about what had happened and when her symptoms started. And at that point, I realized that there was a key piece of information that I didn't have from before that basically made it really clear what had happened and that it was safe for her to go home. She didn't have to worry, she could follow up with her doctor, because a lot of times we don't get a really specific example or pinpoints a reason for what caused the symptoms. But after I went back in and sat with her and went over her tests with her and was able to ask her some more questions, then that extra information came out. And so both of us felt better. We were both kind of relieved. I felt good about sending her home. She felt good about going home and felt, better about the whole situation because she had a little more of an answer as to why those things were happening. One of the things that I like about working here is that I have time to sit down initially with patients and ask them a lot of questions and kind of try to get to the bottom of it. It's nice in general, but sometimes it can be specifically beneficial like that. Because every once in a while, another question will come up in my mind that I wouldn't have thought to ask them if I were too rushed, or you kind of get to it as quickly as you can and get things done and get them taken care of and either admitted or sent home. This type of setting allows you to kind of do what you would normally want to do anyway, which is, spend time and give you a little more time to be able to think through different scenarios or possible causes, that sort of thing. And that's refreshing.
Basically, ran some labs, had a critical lab. And of course, as I'm walking to the doctor's office or desk, as soon as we were busy that day, so immediately like, hey doc, there's the ultrasound is critical. The doctor's busy, it's only one doctor, one nurse, and one ER tech. So of course, with one doctor, if you have 4 or 5 patients at one time, you have a lot going on in front of your desk. So you're briefly looking at the lab results, and the doctors are very good at acknowledging the results. But of course, whenever you hand the results over to the doctor, it's very helpful whenever you're pointing out, hey, this is critical, this is critical. And then of course the doctor immediately drops everything. We focus on this patient that we need to transfer over to a hospital. And then after we transfer the patient out immediately, the doctor again acknowledges our hard work. Very thankful, very grateful, especially with me pointing that out. He was very good job. Thanks for helping out the team. And the doctors always acknowledge your hard work. Our clinical manager also, and our nurse supervisors as well, like, hey, we heard that y'all have this type of busy day. Good job, guys. Like, it's always, it's always acknowledged. Nothing never goes under the radar. With this company being positive, you come into work looking forward to coming into work. You leave work and you're like, okay, cool. It was a great day. Like, I look forward to my next shift.